thank you for joining me today. This is one of 6 chairs that I've got in this style to do. 4 that are in one style of fabric and 2 in a different one. So let's get on with that. The first thing I need to do is undo the cover. On these particular chairs, I've just got to do 3 sides, as that is the only area that the top cover comes underneath. I'll be able to keep the bottom cloth on, but remove absolutely everything else. I'm starting to put the chair seat together. The lady got 3 yards for this project, which is a little bit tight, not too tight. So I'm going to make a little patch. I'm going to cut this at 20 and a half to go across the outside back, like that, which means this side is the side that goes on the seat, and the seat is where I'm going to make the patch. I'm just going to cut down here in a straight line and separate them. I'm just getting to the bottom of this, which happens to be the way the pile goes. There isn't very much of a nap on here, but there's just enough that this is down, that's up. I know I'm at the bottom because it's shaped like that, but before I forget, I'm going to put a centre mark, because I'll be using it centrally anyway, across the top. I'm not going to do it on the centre here, I'm just going to cut the corner off because I don't want to cause a problem across the centre at the moment. So that's my top. I'm just cut across here so it's in a straight line. Then I'm going to cut about 2 inches off all the way across. The added piece is going to go across the bottom, so what I need to do is work out how wide that is. So that's 12 inches. I'll make it 12.5 because I don't want too much bulk going into either end. That should be plenty. This is the back of the seat. It's a loose weave fabric, so I have a little bit of a problem. The centre is here, the selvage is here. This side is the selvage. Now I want right sides together with everything going the same way, so I'm going to put it selvage to selvage, and I'm going to place that here, which is about the centre, like that, because I pinned the centre, and I'm going to just pin through there and there on the other side, like that. Place this under here with the raw edges together, slide that underneath, put it down to one of the shortest stitches. It's the width of the foot, so it's not very wide. It's not quite 1/4 inch, but close enough. Forward and back, keeping all of this together and tight. I'm going to sew across the back here, adjusting as I go. This fabric wants to walk against each other. So long as I keep it more or less where I want it, it should be fine. Because it's such a narrow seam, I decided not to use my walking foot because I didn't want it twisting. When I get to the end, I'm going to reverse because I want that nice and tight. Go back across with the centre of my foot running along the join of the seam and a zigzag. Now the zigzag does 3 stitches one way and 3 stitches the other. I really want this nice and firm. I don't want to risk it being pulled apart. Just keeps everything together. I could put a piece of fabric over here, but I don't think I need it because the whole thing is rather secure all the way across here. I've smoothed the seat over the top so it's equal. I've secured the front so that when I pull the fabric to the back, it won't pull further than I want it to. So at the back, I've made sure that my join is equal and brought it down to the centre of the back. That seam comes to just above the base here, so that's just where I want it. Now on here I've folded this so it is cutting across the inside leg. So I'm just going to bring this in like that. Stop about finger width, which is about 1 inch out. And I'm going to do the same on this side. Even out the fabric so it's nice and smooth and cut in. Something I found is there's a little bit of a gap on either side of here where the seat comes in. So I am squeezing in 1 inch super soft foam. Now I'll do the other side. Lay that against the back there. Make sure that I can fold those over either side more or less equally. That should be the centre. And I'm just going to bring it level with the front here and put 3 staples in to hold it. Pull it away from the centre. Pulled fabric forward and round, and I'm going to secure this under here on the side. This is to hold it so it won't move. I'll do exactly the same on the other side. Slide it forward, bring this around and secure it. It's really tight because I needed this side of this for the outside back. As I work on the side and bring this in, it will stay better. I'll bring it down to there. Now I've got both sides steady, I can work on the back. Come in at the back here, refold what I can, pull it tight from inside across. Realign that as close to the angle I had, and I am going to continue trying to cut into the inside leg. So I put my finger where I want to stop. Cutting means changing direction sometimes, but you still need to have that angle. So now I'm going to fold the fabric round slightly. Part of the reason for cutting along the back and trying to open it up as much as possible is so that you can pull that down and around. Chosen a line, and I'm going to cut that all the way up and into the back as far as I can go. Pull that out of there and towards the back if I can. Thins out the fabric. Now that should fold quite nicely in. There's no bulk. And then I will be able to fold that down and staple it into position. On this side, fold the fabric out and over the top. Now I originally fold the fabric in to see if I can get it into place. And again, across here to about there, I think. As long as it goes up and down in a straight line. Cut that up all the way up to there. Now I think I'm a bit generous on this side. The only thing with that extra foam is I really don't want it pushed down too far, and then I'll work on the other side. I'm going to pull that around because I've got this exactly where I want it and into place. Now the seam here is going to come over the top here at an angle. I've got my warp thread going up and down there. Pull this in quite tight and forward. Like that. I do want it to be arched because it's pulling in the fabric from the back. Take these two out and move them slightly. I don't often do this, but I'm going to staple along here so it stays in place. Only because when I put the piping on, it's quite bulky and I want this to be as close as possible to the leg. I want to make sure that that's nice and even. Pull that up and towards the back. I will remove those two and come back here. Just going to bring that in line, fold that back for now so I can see where my line is, to here. And my first staples are going to go right there. I'll come to that in a minute. Now I'm going to move forward. Just pull it forward like that and up to about there. So having placed that and stapled here, now I'm going to pull it forward and into place and staple right here. That's just to hold everything in place. So I've refolded that into position. I'm going to take some more of that off. That just doesn't look quite right. I'm going to put it on its side and see what it looks like. This is quite straight, but there's too much fabric going in, which means I'm going to just take out another couple of rows all the way in to the back here. And then I'm going to just fold that down, push everything in, push that over like that. Keep this in a straight line, line that up with the leg just above there and come down here. Some dacron here that I don't want, so I'm going to take that off, and that's where that's going to come in there. So I'm going to cut in at an angle to the front of the chair. I'm going to pull that down so it's even and secure it like this. Just two. Cut back a little bit more to there. When I put the trim on, I'll make any alterations I need. Now you can see there's already a wrinkle here, which means out comes these two staples. Bring it forward and over. Now here, fold that over into place there and secure. Bring that over and in and secure. Forward and over and secure. Now I'm not pulling it too far over, I'm just pulling it forward really. I can move this one here and do the same. When I get towards the front, I'm going to be pulling to the front like that and up, and then pulling that in like that and securing. And I'm going to secure to my line here. So I'll kind of work forward and then back. Remove this one. Now when I pull it forward, I'm trying to make sure that these lines look as if they're going up and down in a straight line. So I'm going to put a couple of staples here. I'm And then I'm going to cut down like that into the corner, fold that back, bring that up, no, maybe a bit more into the corner, fold that back in a straight line, bring that up and secure. That's that side in for now. Cut this back because I don't want all of that behind there. Even that up, and I'm going to go from here across to the side. I don't really like putting that much in, so I could take a lot of it out. Cut down into here, fold that under and see if I can secure it into the corner. Then I'll make my way all the way down and I'll start on the other side. On this fabric I only marked the centre of the top. I didn't want to mark the bottom just yet and get confused. I've marked the centre of the top with the back and the centre at the bottom. I'm using this, it's a very thin Dacron. I'm going to pull this down over my centre mark there and a little way over the back. So once I've got it in position, I'm just going to put 3 staples in to hold it, turn the chair around, fold the outside together like that and mark my centre there. Push that in. It doesn't have to be brilliant because it's just there to hide any imperfections. Twist it around slightly, and here again this part doesn't have to be perfect. Cut into that corner where the leg is, and the same on this side. For here I am going to do the same, but I really need to make sure that my centre mark lines up the centre of the back before I do anything. So I'm going to just push it like I had with the seat. Cut that in a little bit but not too much so it straightens it out both sides. Bring that up, put a couple of staples in, trim that back. Here's the centre. I'm going to pull it hard up and secure. What I'm also going to do is to cut in almost to the bottom edge here. Nice long fingers, not all the way to the end, and then the same on this side. A lot of this will be cut back. I can cut those 2 back already. Now with this I'm going to cut that back a little bit too, but leave a generous amount because I'm going to use that to tuck up behind. Push that to that corner so it's a nice fit. So my corner's there, and I'm going to just cut that here into the corner. Stop about an inch out. I'll push that one that way, and I'll do the same on this one, in like that. I don't want to take it too far in because I'll be altering it anyway, but it's just to give me some room to manoeuvre. But I'm going to do this side first. Cut up the side of the chair and shape it. I'm going to bring this around. I want to make sure that it looks even here. I'm going to put a staple at the top here so it stays in place and doesn't move. I think it needs to go up slightly. I can still get in with this. Now that I've got it relatively stabilized up there, I'm going to mess here and get it more or less where I need it, which is about another ½ inch into there. Pull that down here, guesstimate where I want to cut it, leaving as much on the top as I can. Cut that out, fold that up and under for now. That might be altered. Now for here, I'm going to pull that out, fold that over so I know where it folds in under here, and I am going to cut from here on in like this all the way and there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this hard and up. I want this to look level along the weave line, so I'm going to just pull it up and in. Might need to cut another little section because I can't see what I'm cutting, so that's a little bit worrisome. Pull this up here a little bit more and into place. I want it to run up like that. Now to cut it back slightly so I don't have too much bulk. Not that it really matters because I think that's gone in quite well. I've removed the stabilising staple from here. I need to take a little bit more of that out, but I'll do that in a minute. That's like what I do when I'm fixing the sides. But I'm going to bring that round and into the back on the straight part of the side here, not over the top. I think that's it. Staple it there. Pull the fabric up, tight, into place and secure. I haven't pulled it around, just up. Now I'm going to do the other side. I'm going to just pull this fabric up, away from the bottom, around the corner, and make sure that this is quite tight. Not necessarily from side to side, but certainly up and down. What I want to do now is put the shaping in. Come down here, and I'm going to put some clips in like I did before. Not too far in, just a little bit, because these will vary. Bring fabric around and up to start off with. Round and in. I'm going to cut that one and this one. Round and in. And again, I'm going to cut some of these a little bit deeper. now that I know where they're going to. So around, in. Managed to pull it down there. I'm going to pull this out in a minute and pull that into place. Now at the bottom I am going to pull it down and in, round and secure for now. I've noticed the way this comes down, I have to be a little bit cautious as to where I put this piece. I like to make sure that it looks even from the front, so I'm going to just hold it for now until I need to put the back on. And now I'll do this side exactly the same way. I'm actually going to cut back some of the side here. The selvage can be a little bit tighter than the rest. And again, I'm going to just put some clips in. Not too deep to start off with, just a little bit to open it, and then I can work it out. But I'm going to start at the top, working to the bottom just like I did. Pulled all of this back and cut it back like I did down there. Push that over and pull this up as tight as I can and secure it into the back of here. There's a fold here, fabric, so I'm going to cut like I did before, just a couple of snippets in, not too far because they might adjust. I don't necessarily want them there, but it will give me a starting point. This is midway point between here and here. I'm going to bring my fingers around and push it in like that and secure it up and across. I'm not going to pull it too far down because it'll put a crease in here and I don't want that. Bring this over the top like this, and I'm going to start pleating it in. I'm going to have to undo a couple of these and get that pleated in down there. Push it round and pull it in. Not big pleats, I just want little ripples. I want it to be quite smooth. I don't want it to be pulled in too tight, so some of these ripples are going to be a bit looser than others, as long as it looks even on the side. And again here, I'm just going to pull it in like that. And then start bringing this in here so that it smooths that out. But then I'm going to put little ripples across the top here to take in that extra fabric. Put them a long way in because I don't want to mess around with having it too thick here when the piping goes on. Now I do have a bit of a problem, and my problem is this. Often decoration, you unscrew it and you screw it back on. This I cannot, so I'm having to be really careful about how I cut into it so that I can go around there, and I have one chance of getting it right each time, so I've been very cautious. So I'm going to pull that around as far as I can because I can fold this, and I'm going to cut in like that, not all the way to the back, a little bit further. And I can cut in, and what I do is I try it. I need to cut in a little bit further for this. This has been every one of these chairs, and each one has turned out slightly differently. I don't know whether it's because of where everything's put. Now if I pull that round, that'll go in here, but I still need to cut in a little bit further, and I end up taking little bites. The reason is eventually this is going to come round and up. If I cut it in the wrong place, this will not come up and hide the wood. So I need a little bit further in and it will go round. But I don't want to cut it and then end up with an awful mess. I will cut that back. Now I can start folding that up, folding that under to go around, but there's still too much fabric on the front, so I need to come in a little bit further on the front side of there. Let's say this has just traumatized me every time I've done a chair. I'll go so far to the front, and eventually I'll get that sweet spot, and then there. I've still got to go forward. The first chair I very nearly made the mistake of cutting too far forward and the side of this not going up underneath. Okay, so I'm nearly there. I'm not going to mess with this because that's going to go underneath. Do need to kind of mess here. That needs a little bit more trimming out. I need to at least go halfway through to the front, otherwise it doesn't go around that circle. Now you could say, well, why didn't you use the other cover? I couldn't use the other cover because they didn't do it right. They just pulled a whole bunch of fabric over, and because it was silk it really didn't matter. It folded it around. Now I think I'm almost there. I'm going to fold all of this up and under and fold that under like that and see where it comes. Still got some more to go. Such a pest. Okay, so a little bit more at the front there and it should go in. If this had been something I could have unscrewed, I could have pulled it all in made a little hole for the screw to go in, and then that would have been perfect. Now I have said to my friend that none of these is going to be equal. It's all going to be different because of the nature of the beast. It's almost there. See, this is why I didn't want to cut too far up, because otherwise that won't go in and hide everything. I think I need a little bit more of that front, and I'm really getting nervous now because I don't really want to be taking any more off there. I think I'm nearly there. Roll all of that up. The fact that this fabric just frays so badly doesn't help either. That's one of those things you have to deal with. If I fold it underneath, it should hold the fraying in position where it won't fray too much. Let's see where that can go to. That all needs to go up. That needs to come down and into place there. Now I'm just going to put a staple further back just to hold it, and it's nice and tight. Bring that up and start cutting in. Long little fingers. Almost there but not quite. Now this one does wrinkle a little bit. Really, there's nothing I can do about that. Pull that in across the top like that, and I'm going to secure that one there just to hold it. And then I'm going to bring this down. A couple more cuts in because I can see where I'm going to be cutting to, and there. So I'm going to just pull that down, wrinkle it slightly there, but pull it back. Pull it down like that and into place. Pull it down. It will wrinkle, but that's just the nature of it. Undo here, pull that in. I have to be careful because it will just unravel otherwise. And I don't want it unraveling. Pull that in there. Trim it all back because I don't want too much bulk behind there. There's a lot going on. And then fold all of this back underneath the Dacron like that and into place here. Could have taken it a little bit further back, but it just doesn't want to do what I want it to do. Now I have to be careful with here because I have piping coming in. So I'm going to bring that down to here and staple it so it avoids the piping. I'm just going to put little ripples along here, pulling it down tight so it's even and secure to the center. Then I'm going to work on this side the same way, just painstakingly until it's all into position. The fabric I took off is silk, and when I do silk or very fine fabric, I usually put an interlining on, but they have used fusible Pellon, and it's used in dressmaking. It might depend on what kind of piping you're using as to whether this is worth doing, but I'll try it anyway. I cut the fabric at 2 inches wide, joining it from one corner to the other on a small-ish stitch. Open your seam right up so when it goes around it's not so bulky across the top of the piping, whether it's single or double. Put the raw edges together. The piping cord is inside, slot it onto my foot. You can use a zipper foot for this, but use a universal one. And I'm going to sew on the longest stitch. The reason why I've put a bigger flange on than normal is because the fabric is going to be curved around and it thins out. When it goes the other way, it's quite easy to attach. I'm going to be running the outside of this across the outside of the wood frame so it's level. The other thing is that one of my turns is at right angles. When I get there, I'm just going to cut a couple of little clips in so that this nicely goes around and I have a little piece of flange that I can secure as it goes round so it doesn't pull out. I set up double piping with the fabric over the first piece and then bring the second length of piping down on top and fold it over. If you do this, you keep your piping cord separate and it stops them twisting. It also makes it easier to keep a separation between the two pieces, and just sew all the way down the length that you require. At the top here is the center, and also that it's the top. I'm going to pop that down here. I've also got the little V there, so I know I'm more or less in the right place for this. I'm going to put a couple of staples in to hold it. I'm going to place that across the top, bring that up and tuck it under there so there's no weight on it. There to there, hard up across there. I think it's about even. And I'm going to staple that into position all the way across the top. I'm going to just cut up here, almost to the top but not quite, like that. Then I'm going to put this here too. This came off earlier. I don't want to go too close to the edges because I'm going to be messing with those. So let's do this. Pull that up slightly like that, and I'm going to push that against the piping and secure it. And again, I'm going to bring it round, touching the piping as I go. I'll have to take some out, but hopefully not too many. That often happens. Just come down here and finished off, and I'm going to start my next one round about there and put it in along the bottom, then the same along that side. I've pushed these over so I can actually get this in as far as I can. There's a couple of that I haven't pushed over as I need to alter the staples underneath, but I'm going to start putting this along here and finish up. I have put this on, cut this back to the folded over aluminium back tack. Pull this down, make sure that that's more or less even. I think that's okay there. Cut it back just a little bit to the edge of the piping because that gives me a little bit of wriggle room, and on round. I am going to pull that down and push that under with the regulator so that it gets caught on those teeth. That looks about even. Pull it out slightly to the side but not too far down. I don't want it to pull too much. And on in like that. This is the easy part. Well, it can be easy. It can also be quite traumatic if you get it wrong. And then I'm going to just take my hammer and secure it. I'm going to fold it on round like that and secure it on that side. I've got to cut back the excess, which I do in sections. Poke that through there, cut it that way as far back as I can, pop that there, and I'm going to staple it into position. That just keeps it steady for me as I pull away from it. And I'm going to put glue along here, nice thick band. It's quite wide double piping and into place. I don't need to glue it as I go around the corner on the inside there, but I do need to kind of pull it tight. Make sure it's going in the right angle. I'm going to substitute the front of this with a similar arc of pattern and across. So I'm going to take those out first. I have no clue why I missed it, but just one of those things. I think I was in a rush. Pull that out and this one out. I am going to cut the front of this Dacron to more or less where I want it to be. Pun around and down. It doesn't have to be perfect because when I pull the rest of the chair down, it will pull it into place. That is on the center here. Pull that down. I'm not going to pull it out. I'm just going to pull it into place like that. Check underneath and secure it. Now I check underneath because there is a pattern. I'm going to do the same on the other side. Pull that in, make sure that these lines are more or less even, like that, and secure it. And that's exactly what I did on the other chair. The other thing I did on the other chair is bring this down so it's even here across, work out where the top of the pattern is, and secure all the way around so that it goes evenly in. The same on the other side, just bring it down with your fingers and into place. Okay, having done that, I'm now going to cut the fabric back as close to the pattern as I can. And this is what I did on the other chair as well. Little nips at it. Once you've got the shaping, you can then either decide to go a little bit closer or a bit further away with your staples. But you really want this kind of in place before you decide on anything. When I put the double piping on, I can roll that back. Now I want to keep the fabric even to about 3 or 4 inches in from the end. Now on the chair that I'm substituting this for, there was shaping around, but I still kept everything even to that point. So I'll pull that in and secure it. I'll cut that out as well, pull that in so it's even. I actually started the same. Worked from the outside into the center because that was a little bit easier for me to do, because then I can pull it in with my fingers and see how much more I need to pull it in by. There was a gap here, so when I got close enough to the end of the leg, I stapled up and across. Pull that forward and pull that down. I'm trying to use this as a model for the other one. I'm going to secure this. Now with the other one, I pulled it down into the corner as I'm doing with this one and secure. With this, I do have a corner to follow, so I'm going to take that up because I need that to go up. So pull the fabric into place and up around the corner of the leg. I did this with the other chair that I'm substituting this for. Cut down in a straight line to the top of the shaping. Pull that across. I'm going to pull it down like this, but before I staple it in, I'm just going to make sure that I can get those threads going up and down, which I can. So I'm going to secure this here and then bring this down, and this is exactly what I did on the chair for this film. Pull that down, fold that back a bit more and secure it into place. And repeat on the other side. It looks complicated, but it is actually quite easy. It's a case of take your time. I've got 4 of the 6 chairs done like this. There's the silver grey on the inside, back and seat, and then the blue grey on the back with the double piping going all the way around. Thank you for joining me on this project. I hope I was able to impart some interesting information to you. I did think only putting the double piping on the front, but seeing as it already had it on there when I took the original cover off, I decided to keep it that way. The other 4 chairs that I did had this grey fabric on it, and I suggested to my friend that we put it on as a trim on these. It picks out the grey in the colour here, and I think it will tie it in with the other 4 chairs that I did for her. If you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe. Just realised how awful I look. If you'd like to see more from me, please subscribe, hit the bell button, and a few thumbs up would be brilliant. And in the meantime, take care. See you later. Ciao.